it went through the leg, and he had a nice meaty fucking wound through and through in his thigh. And they put on some tourniquet that looked like it was on there by shoestring. So, and it had stopped bleeding.
All right, welcome back to the 30th episode of 11 Bang Gang. So Josh Weber's back to tell more stories, backed by popular demand, apparently. But anyway, dude, I wanted to ask you a couple things that I didn't get to ask you. One, I wanted to ask you, what does the active duty fleet look like right now with drug use? Because I'm only interested because like when I left in between the years of probably 2010 and 2016, it was off and on bad at times. So I'm just wondering like where are we at now?
I think off and on bad is just based off of where you're at, but I think it's pretty much it's consistent across the board. Because when I was with 1-8, I had came back from that deployment, and then they pulled me back into artillery. I was at 210, and one of my boys had come off one of the OIR deployments, and he was in Syria for that, and then popped for cocaine. So for the next month, I was talking to him through the little lockbox there at the brig on Camp Lejeune, and I'm like, dude, especially the way that the tests run, and I was like, how does this like happen? You have to be actively on drugs to fucking pop for coke for the most part. And he's like, yeah, I was. I'm like, oh shit, man. All right. And then what I'm hearing right now too, where I'm going to back in Pendleton, is that that's an issue. They've had a few, like it's always cocaine too. They end up fucking popping for. I've only had one other junior corpsman that I know of in Lejeune too that popped for marijuana. And then, I've had Marines all over the place get hit for shit, but I think it's pretty consistent. It depends on what. Now, I've never walked up on anyone doing a fent lean or anything crazy like that, but yeah, everyone's into uppers, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, spice was a problem in 09-ish time frame. You probably remember that.
Yeah.
But like we had it bad where they went through the entire barracks. They found a fake dildo with like a bladder attached to it. Mm-hmm. And so they made us literally, when we did the piss test, they made us like grab our junk. Yeah. And like, yeah. So, but my thing is someone told me one time that they only test like one bottle out of the box.
Yeah. So just on our side, because I'm with the Army guys right now, and they only attest like a third of it, I think, when we send all that stuff off.
Wow.
So you're really rolling the dice, but still. Yeah. And, to the fake dildo thing, they caught one dude on the urinalysis that had a white dick, but he was a black dude. And they're like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, yeah, you got me. I tried my best. My black dildo wasn't working. Like, all right, this is the best I got for the time. Right? I'll take my fucking lickings. That's fine. I stretched this out for too long.
Yeah, it's so I have a follow-on question. Mm-hmm. And I don't get anybody in trouble. What's the active duty military stance on peptides?
I don't know exactly what the stance is on peptides. And
you're a doctor.
I am. Yeah, I'm a third world doctor, man. Like I'm throwing bullshit at the problem, but I don't know what it is right now. And usually what it goes to is that they just fucking categorize things like, steroids. Yeah. You can't be using that. And, right. And apparently the test for steroids is extremely expensive. So you have to put on like a significant amount of weight or whatever in a very short period of time that people were like looking around like, yo, take it fucking easy. I'll tell you on the soft side over here, that's a common thing, and they're like, hey, chill the fuck out, dude, or else we have a sergeant major that will actually spend the money to get that shit. And but peptides, I don't know what the current guidance is on that.
usually the way I remember it was anything that is banned in sports was banned in the Marine Corps. So if it was like, you remember when Jack 3D, everyone was taking that, and then So like, and I use certain peptides. I'm not like obsessed with them, but just I was kind of thinking about it the other day, and Rogan was talking about like the UFC not being able to use certain ones that he thought were good. And I was like, damn, I wonder what the active duty military, because I know there's some dudes that are probably doing it. But we also had guys using steroids, and I wonder why they never tested them. And you're probably right on the money.
Well, right now there's the everyone's got low T, and they're getting tested out in town and stuff. And I think there's a significance where people are actually like getting, some low level testosterone, therapeutic treatments to try to help them out, because it is a common, and that's not really creating waves. But if you're like doing D-ball and getting fucking large and in charge and short, be like, that kid's eating small children, like, all right, they're gonna
juicing, dog.
They're gonna flag you for something. But and they kind of work in the gray area around here right now. But like I said, I haven't been back to the Marine Corps. I left there in 2017, left Lejeune, so going back to it one more time.
Well, you'll find out.
I don't know what the fuck these goons are into. The infantry looks so much different than it used to, man. Like, they're outfitted with everything. I maybe think that getting rid of tanks was a blessing for the grunts. Like, the money, it just showed up.
Dude, I was talking to somebody about that the other day, because we were talking about like all the new optics, and then like all the guys got like certain units got like Pelletors across the board now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, all the high cut helmets, and they got they got Pelletors, so they got some, and I think they're plugged in with comms on that too. And then there's like a drone MOS, I think, that they have established. So there's a certain level of drones that that they've got on hand there.
Wow.
We talked about everyone getting 416s the last time. So like, at least you're not getting a 400-year-old musket, M16 A1.
Did you see that SOCOM since we're on the topic, SOCOM just said they're done experimenting. They want somebody to develop a hyper velocity 5.56 round.
Yeah.
And they want to stick with the M4.
M4s are great. They function. They work for direct impingement. I love them. But what's the funny thing is that the Army was so focused on SIG and getting the contract for all those SIG spears. And guys here on Bragg were getting SIG spear lights. And apparently a bunch of them were coming through that were like, they're a free floating barrel, and they were not floating direct center in there. So they, bro, you can't have a big name like that and have a contract with tier 1 elements and be sending them fucking shitbird rifles. Like, so I think that they're experimenting with other things too, but yeah.
I don't like, I've already made it public on X. I hate the whole deal. I think it was a backdoor deal. I think giving a grunt a $9,000 optic is a bad idea.
Oh yeah.
With all that stuff in it, it's too much information.
Yeah.
Like you've been to combat, right?
Yeah.
What is the one thing that's really important in combat? Simplicity.
Yeah.
That is why the ACOG was the shit. Right.
Well, we talked about this before in other groups. I'm like, and someone brought this up. Is that how many times when you're actually in the midst of a firefight did you actually look down that fucking scope? And a lot of people will be like, you know what? If I was being honest, a good 85% of the time, I was not. Unless I had the chance to like lay down, especially in Afghan, we're like, yes, some guys might be out to 300 meters or whatever. And if I can even see somebody, but usually it's that tree line is firing at me. I don't know what I did to the trees, but they're fucking pissed. And I'm just pointing in that direction and trying to fucking suppress. Like, we're just suppressing each other back and forth. Like, yeah, that's a pretty common across the board. So yeah, why add more money to that? Like, unless, train to be able to be, precise surgical fire like they want us to all be. But damn, there's an element there. It's like, oh.
I could see giving the team leader, right? Giving him that, right? So when he's calling an ad rack, for people who don't know what ad rack is, it's basically when a team leader says, hey, there's an enemy that direction, this
Yeah.
far, blah blah blah. And so if he's given an ad rack, he can quickly look at that optic and say, yep, that's 376 yards, right?
Yeah.
And then he can direct, he can call if he's got to get on the radio, call for fire. That is a force multiplying tool.
Yeah.
But to give it to the dumb Lance Corporal, no, bro.
Well, the way that, if I understand it correctly, the way that the Sig Spear optics had it was that someone can paint the target and their Bluetooth synced, so everyone can look through the optic and see exactly what that guy's painting and then focus in on that. But I see, like, cool technical revolution here, but I see, like, how many times is that going to break? You know, what new technology is going to jam that, you know, signal or whatever. Yeah, that Lance Corporal is going to trip and fall. He's going to lose it. Like, I don't know. I fucking took it off, put it in my pack. I lost it. It's back in. Craziness. So,
yeah, man. I mean, my thing is keep it simple, stupid. But
yeah. Suppressors I'm on board with, though.
Oh, yeah. No, suppressors across the board, man. That is something that I've done as a civilian that I will put my foot down. That is the best.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we left, I know we left off, well, we broke the last episode, so we'll try not to break this one. But, so I mean, you said you had some more stuff in Afghanistan, so I was just going to let you roll. And,
and what kind of segues into that, we didn't even really get to touch on it, but the Marine Corps, like, page actually posted a, like, anniversary thing of Op Branding Iron the other day, and that got shared, pretty significantly. So we were all kind of talking about that. And I think we discussed it after our little cut last time, but that was a pretty, like, significant op for us, because, and that's where we're talking about, like, how things started to, the bubble from Shergazi started to push back in. That's because Echo Company left Shergazi. Fox came in and held some security, and then they had to go on another op themselves. So they were just standing post and not being able to, like, actually, you know, rove around or anything. And then so it was Echo Golf, I want to say, the majority of weapons that came out of Nowzad. So it was the battalion reinforced, and 1-8 was there too. And it was like the biggest clearing operation since Marja. So we had 2 battalions and tanks and all that going into it, which was like 17 days long. But kind of like what the recon guy was talking about, like from the Sangin, you know, perspective, like they pushed all those guys out and then they went up into our direction. Well, Kajaki was like this last stronghold, and Zamindawar was like this big valley that, like, Westerners had not been into. The closest that anyone had been into per, like, the pre-op briefs was some Australian SOF. And they went in, did like a middle of the night infill on one particular compound. And they had a guy that tried to, like, get up and over the compound wall and hit a pressure plate that was buried into the wall. And the pressure plate was on the top of the wall, and he got, like, blown up and smoked. So that was the only info of, like, Westerners stepping foot closely, like, remote to that area. So, and then of course, like they do with everything, the pre-op briefs are like, they've got every weapon system, you're all gonna die, we're expecting all these different casualties, whatever. And we went up to Fob Edinburgh, and, like, staged out of there. And man, I've heard probably, you know, 2 or 3 good speeches, you know, pre-op speeches from Marine in my time. And our first sergeant, though, at that time was one of those perfect ones, man. He gave us that fucking spiel about, you know, basically, like, you come here for patriotism and, you know, the American flag and apple pie and all that bullshit. Fuck that. We're here for each other right now, and we're gonna fucking just massacre as many fucking people as possible and show them what the fuck the Marine Corps is all about. I'm like, dude, you can't give the whole company an erection like that and then put them on a fucking plane, you know? Like, but it was cool. It was one of those things that was like, damn, dude, he's a legit guy.
So was it a helo insert?
Yeah. So we did an air assault antenna insert by 53s, but we did that one at like 2 a.m. So as we were, like, coming in, man, they lightened up ROEs on a bunch of stuff. So Cobras were all over the fucking place during that. They knew we were coming too, because they had set up like a route where they drove in, and they were just hitting IEDs the whole fucking time just to be able to establish some sort of supply route. So they knew that we were going that direction. But yeah, we got in there at like 2 a.m. I remember the helicopter banking to dodge an RPG, and then it was just like shoved out of the back of that 53, absolute chaos. And I'm like, I've got my one PVS 14. I'm looking around. Cobras are like just lighting motherfuckers up with their guns, and PKM fires going on. It looked like some shit out of Star Wars. It was like, what the fuck is going on right now? And I mean, we'd been in plenty of kinetic stuff up until that point, but I'm like, this is like, all right, maybe I should have tried college or something, but yeah, that was the like just introduction to Zamindawar was fucking spicy. And then we had moved in later and across the night and like got into a wadi, and that's when we had called for artillery, like to send in IR Loom, and it shot up. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, but did it get cut off?
It did. Yeah, we were cut off on this part. So
okay,
yeah,
good.
210 was in the Kajaki area doing fire by support stuff, and they shot regular Loom. So we all got out of the wadi, and then it fucking just cast all of us, and we were online trying to move into this compound, and it just fucking exposed all of us. And our company EXO was with us at the time. He's like, get the fuck back in the wadi. He's just yelling at them on the radio. Like, I said IR Loom. But dude, if someone was up on that wall, they could have just mowed us all down, and that would have been it. So we went into that compound. We waited until the sun came up, and we breached into the door, and it's sympathetic an IED that was in there, and there's all sorts of wild shit in there too. And then the tanks pulled up on the hill, like adjacent to it, and they ran over an IED that was just in a random spot too. And the tanker just kind of popped out of the hatch, looked over, like, track's good, we're good, just rolled on. Yeah. Like, it was unbothered by it. Like, sweet. Which tanks were a lifesaver in that, because, like, ROEs were loosened up to the point where squad leaders had main gun round authority to call on anything. Like, hey, nice. Tiger 2, you got that guy? Yep. Main gun him. Boom. Fucking. And then they would always follow up with a coax zip or two. Yeah. And then we would be able to blaze trails and get to the next compound. So we just spent 17 days going from one spot to the next. And it's like, well, at least I don't have to sit here and worry about sweeping and, whatever, as long as we have a tank and that blazes a trail for us and we can just kind of follow in their tracks. It's like the one time in country where it's like, I don't feel like I'm going to lose my legs just by taking a fucking 500-meter stroll, So that was pretty awesome. But
now, how was was it heavily IED'd all the way through? Or was it just like certain spots?
Yeah, it was the certain areas, the general choke points. It's so agricultural heavy. So like it was long distances, but that was that area I was talking about where the kids, they came back to the compound that we were at and had, put in those IEDs, hit those kids and stuff. And this was one of the further in compounds too, nearest the bazaar, that they were trying to hit us with mortars. And we're sending machine gun fire, hit that tanker I was talking about and all that stuff. That was like deep in there in that territory. So only some of those spots were like heavy IED'd, but they didn't know, they was so spread out, like they couldn't even front lay you because they didn't know where we were all at and where we were going to go.
Yeah.
So we moved off into a position that was like way off to go support by fire for golf too. And we just watched them move into a spot and use tanks too. And it was just like, I have a video clip of it somewhere where it was just watching them and just heavy machine gun fire going on like the whole time. Like, fuck yeah. So
that's the one good thing about tanks though, is, like if you're on a support by fire position and they have tank as a lead element, which is dangerous in certain warfare because, you don't want to lose that asset. But like, cause tanks are terrible, they need ground troops to guard them. But, if they're coming in, dude, you can bring that support by fire close to a buttoned up tank. You're not worried about popping them,
No.
But yeah, that now, were y'all sleeping in trucks or sleeping in compounds during this?
We literally were the best, like most, like the epitome of being a fucking imagery guy. We lived in a fucking backpack and find stuff. And you take those compounds and they have that one room that always has like rugs and blankets and shit. I'm stealing your shit and we're fucking, I'm just going to take a little siesta on here. But we'd only stay at a place for maybe a day or two. And we found like some cool shit in some places. Like there was a shotgun that was a Soviet one that was stamped from the 1890s or some shit. And I was like, dude, we got to take this. And our sir was like, no, we can't. That's thievery. Of like, when did you become such a bitch? Like, whatever.
You're like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to weave too hard here, but did you see the wall going out of Leatherneck of all the stuff they had confiscated?
No, I remember
Oh,
getting just absolutely investigated to like they x-rayed all our shit leaving there, but
yeah.
no. Where was this
It,
wall at?
So if I and my memory is so fuzzy, but like there was like a wall in there, and they showed one of the guys like showed it to me, and it had like axes and like battle
Mm.
axes and crazy shit. But the funny thing is the only person in our company that got flagged or our battalion was one of our majors accidentally left a box of 9mm rounds in his backpack. So
Oh
when they
God.
found it, they were like, "Oh!" And then everyone was like, "Whose is it?" And they were like, "Oh, it's Major so and so." We're like, "Motherfucker!"
I know. And then they let him
Yeah,
walk. No problem.
yeah.
There's
Oh yeah,
always,
they let
the
him
double
walk.
standard.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
our platoon commander had his NVG stolen by the Afghan dudes at the Mazarbat Shamali post.
No shit.
And obviously we're like, where's your fucking gear? Do we need a dummy quarter to you, Lieutenant? Being fucking smartasses about it. But then like he got a new set of nods. I'm sure he got absolutely mouth fucked back at at the
Yeah.
CP or something like that. But it still was like the double standard, because if that had been one of us, holy shit, dude.
Oh, dude, hold on. I have the episode. Actually, it for those of you listening, it'll be the episode you listened to last. If you listen to the last episode, the guy that came on before you, dude,
Mm,
West Point graduate
mm,
and Lieutenant Colonel, retired Army, and he was an Afghan National Army or Afghan National Police. He was
mm.
like the trainer guy. But
Oh,
dude,
okay.
this dude like went and got it in combat, like a whole platoon of AMP dudes
Yeah.
just waxing the Taliban with 6 active duty guys. It
Yeah.
was unbelievable. But anyway, he talked about how officers suck. He was like, dude, he was like the best officers in the military. He said there's not many of them, but he was saying that Marines are either they're a really great officer or they're terrible or
Yeah.
they're retarded.
I think the best officers though they either did some time where they especially when they came in like 2003, like
Yeah.
old, they did some like time where they were entered into like the reserves or something. So they were like 23rd or 24th Marines or something, had some growth before they were activated and then thrown into the mix. And then the other side of that is the Mustangs. Like I've had some really good Mustang officers that were just like, okay, these are fucking legit dudes. So
Yeah. I mean, so give me a few things because this may bring up some of your stories that you
sure.
got. What are what are some of the fucking retarded things that y'all did in Afghanistan? Because everyone
That's what
talks about
yeah.
combat, but there's plenty of free time.
My God, man. Especially let me tell you, if you're a Marine and you're thinking like, Doc seems like he's got his head screwed on straight. He's a like he's okay. No, he's not. All right. Let me tell you that, because the fucking just nefarious activities that we get into is just it's ridiculous and it's borderline criminal. I completely forgot about this one thing, of course, that was brought up to me, but we had this at Kopsher Ghazi, we had the viscous lidocaine challenge. So when we have a bunch of fucking medications, right, and we've got all sorts of things, but we had to go through at some point like, oh, these things are expiring. We got to, or drastically expired. Like they went out in fucking this expired in 2008. Why do we have this out here? And we had a whole pile of this viscous lidocaine. It's lidocaine like numbing jelly, so used for whatever surgical necessities we might need. But where the corpsman mine went, and this is when we had Fox and Echo now retrograded back to Shagazi together. And there's about 3 of these dudes that were just like, you know what? It'd be a great competition. We're going to go out to those fucking shitters and we're going to jerk off with this as lube and see who can jizz the first without their dick going completely numb and soft or whatever with this expired shit. And 3 of them went off there and are just in this. It's like, July or something ridiculously hot at Shergazi, and those guys are in those fucking wooden porter shitter things with wag bags and just all like dispersed even amounts of viscous lidocaine to jerk off with, and the senior corpsman of the cop came out there yelling in his thick Wisconsin accent because he knew what they were up to. Like, just didn't catch him in time. And he's just yelling at the porter shears, like, you guys jerking off in there with fucking medication. Get the fuck out of there now, you pieces of shit. It's one of the most asinine fucking things that has ever happened. But he came around the corner once too. We had a little like bench area around the side that we used to have like as like a BAS smoke pit or whatever. And one of the dudes had a fucking IV tube. They were just trying to give each other enemas. So he turned the corner. This dude's fucking heels to Jesus with a fucking IV tube up his ass, just trying to. He's like, the fucking first sergeant will walk around the corner at any minute. You got shit up your ass. You guys take it too fucking far, man.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah. So downtime when, you know, it literally, it's like we might have, you know, a few hours or a day where just nothing goes by and they don't jump off a bunch of fucking bodies on us or some shit. They're jerking off or they're fucking jamming things up their asses or, you know, wild stuff. So.
That sounds like some medical fuckery right there.
Dude, it gets darker too. Like
Did anybody win the jerk off competition?
Well, I think that our senior guy maybe fucking harshed the buzz, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, well, there's one thing. Can I jerk off a numb dick? Yeah, probably I can persevere, but can I have a grown man yelling at me? Like,
wild jerk.
Yeah. This might bring up too much childhood trauma. So I think they conceded there, but
funny.
Yeah, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
God. Did you guys ever have any issues with the ANA?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, back they moved the AUP, like the police, off of that side of Shergazi, and they basically told them to go kick rocks. They had a post like farther out or something like that. I think there was they had some issue. Something happened with them, and they told them to get lost. And then there was the ANA, because like we had a whole company of ANA advisors, like Marines and corpsmen. There was like an extra company attached. I don't know if you guys had that in 2-4, but 2-5 did. And then they were staying at like they segregated kind of like a spot over there by tanks on Shergazi, and like okay, you guys are over there now. But yeah, I remember there being some like threats like that were made, but I never had issues with them other than the ones that were like too high on opium to go fucking patrol and shit like that. And, you know, I've had a lot of crazy ones where there's just like, you know, they got zapped or something like that and I had to go deal with them. Yeah. I medevaced one by myself in the back of a Ranger, like to a pickup point, like outside of Majrabat Shamali to like to the west of it.
Really?
And, it was, the guy had got shot by, it was a bigger round than 7.62, I think. I want to say it was like he got hit by something like either obscure, not a Dishka round or something like that. But anyways, it went through the leg, and he had a nice meaty fucking wound through and through in his thigh. And they put on some tourniquet that looked like it was on there by shoestring. So and it had stopped bleeding, so I was like not worried about it, but like, all right, we'll go through the normal stuff. But they brought him back to me, and it was like nighttime, and we're like, oh, we got to get a bird spun up for this guy and all this type of shit. I'm like, all right, cool. But everybody else was up and doing stuff and trying to get this worked on. And they're like, no, we need to have the ANA do the medevac and all that. I'm like, but are any of the medics or in there? Well, no, obviously. So my lieutenant was like, we'll just hop in there with them. And I was like, sure. And it's nighttime. So I get in the back of the Danger Ranger, and I was like, oh, this is not safe because I've seen what happens to Ford Rangers at IEDs. Like, oh, fuck. This is it. I'm like, the best case scenario is that I get blown up and thrown way far away from this fucking thing, and then we'll be fine. At least I'm not like trapped inside. I'm in the bed of it. And then, I had like a solid proud corpsman moment when we got there, because as I was giving him an IV as the bird was landing, and got that in and at least fucking secured. And I was like, all right, successful IV under nods while the fucking, just before brownout. So it was like, sweet. And then I got back in the Ranger with them. It was just me and a couple of Afghan guys, and drove back into the post. And then my platoon sergeant was waiting there. He's like, why the fuck did you do that, dude? I was like, sir told me to. So he went to lieutenant. He's like, did you ever fucking do that shit again? Don't let him fucking go.
Now, that's another thing. It's like, why have why send you out like that?
Oh,
It
It's
was
like,
just
hey,
kind of like a
we got to give them the room to like learn for themselves, because that was like the new thought process at the end was like, hey, we're all going to be leaving. All right, so we were talking on the Afghan issues there at Shergazi, and there was some issue I think that they had where there were some threats that were being made with the advisors and stuff that were there, and they had kicked them off of like our side of Shergazi and made them have their own little part of the compound down by tanks or something. So that's kind of like the only issue that I know that we had there. Until we moved up to Nowzad district, they took my platoon, second platoon, and we moved up to the Nowzad district because weapons company had just pulled out. So we held security there, and we left. We left from there back to Leatherneck from that spot. And they had a similar thing going on where they had to isolate the Afghan army guys down into a separate part. So they were standing posts on like a kind of a sub compound area up at the Nowzad district center base. But
now, did you guys start shutting PBs down like halfway through?
So 2-5 did. But not us, not Echo. So yeah, the ones that shut down were the Habib with Golf Company like up front, and they started operating out of Leatherneck exclusively, and then Fox had to ditch 7171, and that's when they kind of retrograded with us, and then they moved some of us around weapons, like right at the very end, like last couple weeks, weapons company left, and they said we need one platoon just to go stand CP posts and hang out up there. And they said like, oh, it should be quiet too because it's Ramadan and all that stuff. Boy, it was for the most part, but still some shit went down up there that was just wild too. So,
well, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, I mean, they have to notice, man. They watch, and it's like there's no way they miss that.
No. And I think that's just been kind of they go with the flow, the roller coaster of this fighting seasons and stuff too. And yeah, they do stop a lot of the stuff for Ramadan, but then they knew too, like, all right, well, I can get enough done while fasting throughout the day to be able to like go take a little bit more spot, or they took time to like take pop shots and at certain spots. So I got up at Nowzad because I was walking around the post by myself, and I like, oh, there's a nice photo op. So I climbed up on the top of one of the MRAPs that was over there. It was like nice sun that was behind the Afghan and American flag. And I got up in there to take a photo and just fucking whizzed right past me. I'm not wearing gear again. This is the second time I've getting caught with no fucking flak or anything on. I just like knees go limp. I fall the like 8 to 9 feet off of the MRAP and just hit the moon dust, made a nice little soft landing. Luckily they didn't hit me, but they hit the Afghan guy on the post there and hit him right across.
Shit.
Yeah, eviscerated. So he had a little bit of his intestine hanging out. So we got him back into the little med tent that we had over there at Nowzad and patched him up too. And
what do you do for that?
So depending on if the bow is erupted at all, like what you don't want to do is go stuffing that stuff back in there and like with shit, now getting into your body cavity. But what we were able to do, it wasn't too bad. So I literally just took like an occlusive dressing, like one of those chest seal ones, and it was just enough to like cover it up, and it all just kind of stayed right there, and then just get him out of Dodge, and that was that.
Oh yeah, y'all sent him back to actually get surgery and shit.
Yeah. So if it's one of our guys, like they're going to a legit surge unit, they will open you up and actually pull everything out and inspect that stuff and like sterilize, clean and stuff, and then repack your entire bowels and then sew you back up. So
I had a question that there's a rumor that you can use tampons to plug gunshot wounds.
Oh my God. So, I mean, let me, so the best thing that I can say is like, you guys seen the slow-mo videos of ballistic gel, right? When you shoot that fucking ballistic gel and you see it expand, that's how much you need to like really pack that in, because that's the damage that's done from that shockwave in there. So I don't know how big the twats are on these broads that we're fucking getting tampons as donations from, but it ain't going in there. Even something as like 5.56, like now it's not enough to like, actually create enough internal pressure to be able to stop the bleeding. So yeah, they yell about that shit all the time. That's some stupid crap. Yeah.
Did somebody really send y'all some?
No, no one ever did that because
Oh, okay. I was
we would
about to
literally,
say.
if someone gave that to us, be like, "Hey, this is for your big gay ass," like, and joke with it or something, and then move on. Like, oh, one of the fet girls left that shit here.
I don't, yeah, because I watched a video of a guy truly stuffing like a gunshot wound. Like he said it was supposed to be the right way, and he had like folded
Yeah,
cloth, and he was two fingering it kind of down in
yeah,
there. And I was like, damn, bro. Like I don't remember them. We had like quick clot
Hmm.
and combat gauze,
Yeah,
but it's like, man, I don't remember being that like having to really stuff it. I mean, I never dealt with anybody's gunshot wound, but
yeah. Dude,
you
it would have
know.
been great. It had to got all of you guys in like on a live tissue lab, like you can see how
Hmm.
much it takes. And I would even kind of be somewhat sparing, like use some of the combat gauze up front because it's got that anticoagulant in it and it's got like a ribbon that's in it so that when they take them in, they can x-ray and see that it shows up on the x-ray so they're not missing stuff internally.
Oh, that's
Um,
sweet.
He'd put a little bit of that combat gauze directly on, like where the internal bleed might be, and then you'd take out, the Curlex or H&H gauze, so, like a oversized ace wrap, size of gauze, and just take that thing out and kind of like either keep it close to you or roll it over your shoulder, and just you're going to sit there and pack, and depending on, what type of like just wound ballistics in general, you could be using multiple just to pack one single cavity. So yeah, it takes a lot sometimes.
Man, I never got the pleasure of going to the live tissue lab, but we had so many guys per platoon went, if I remember right, and they said it was great training.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the best that you can. Of course, it doesn't officially exist, but if you get to,
Yeah.
get the opportunity to go work on it, it's definitely like, oh shit, this short of like working on a real human, like I see how this is actually going to work. And like, it's the same thing of like the way you test your weapon systems, you're going to test your, your CMD and your Valens, all the stuff that we're going to take out there is the same thing for us. Like, am I just carrying around a bunch of, magical wizard med supplies, or do I know it's going to work too? And you gotta do PCCs and PCIs. So I got to know how some of these things work. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Did you so I mean obviously you went to that. I got one last curious question I thought about. Is it true that the morphine is serialized?
It's tracked
It's tracked,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Midway
Yeah.
through the deployment too, they had to come around and, it's a narcotics log and all that type of stuff. And someone
Mm.
has to inspect, and then they have to have like a non-medical. So we have to go find like a random lieutenant
Officer.
officer to come
Yeah.
over and like, yeah, check it all off. All right. It's all accounted for. Um,
Mm.
Yeah, so they're pretty they're strict, but luckily we didn't have too much. Just morphine auto injectors and like the fentanyl lollipops is all we were really dealing with. But nowadays, like there's a lengthy list of stuff that you can get signed off to carry. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah, because I don't even remember the fentanyl lollipops, to be honest. We might have had them, but I don't remember seeing them.
I never carried them. The only guys that had, like, they wanted to disperse them to the stay platoon corpsmen because they might be sitting in a hide a little bit longer. I don't know what the thought process was on that, or if they were just like, hey,
Yeah.
what, some guys get it, some don't. Some, like senior line corpsmen, would have it. And then all I had was the morphine auto injectors, just shoot them and
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. I know Gabe talked about how he got morphine, and then he said that was the easiest hike he ever walked back to the damn fob after that.
It has some significant, like, I've heard the stories of the guys talking to my casualties afterwards. They're like, yeah, the side effects, like a little bit of this hallucinogenic thing, like their memory of the whole situation is a little bit skewed in details and stuff. I had a conversation with my squad leader not too long ago. We were texting back and forth, and he's like, I remember this thing happening this way. I was like, I called for something. I'm like, you didn't call for anything. Your radio was broken. Like, he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense then. I'm like, yeah, you were fucking tripping balls. And then once we got out of that situation too, he was just, I didn't take the weapon from him because we had been pinned down for so long. And then he just started fucking shooting at random things. It's like, get the fuck, like, give me that damn fucking M4. Holy shit. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd imagine you're pretty high,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, shit. Yeah, well, and then I had another buddy who they couldn't give it to him because they thought he had a head injury because his Kevlar came off hitting an
Yeah,
IED.
man, like I'm the worst fucking medic. I have no business. This is why I have not expanded on my medical career and stuff. But I don't know the exact physiology with that. That was always something that they had said it could be a potential contraindication is head injury stuff. I don't know why morphine would cause like further intracranial pressure or anything like that. Obviously, someone much more smarter can get on here and explain that ordeal. But I also think that there's been things that have been debunked. They're like, no, it's okay now. So we get these guidelines that come out periodically, like once a quarter, the Tactical Combat Casualty Care like committee gets together and they go over things. So even stuff that we had as protocols from 14, 15 years ago is wildly different from what is like okay or just absolutely like why did we do that before type stuff now.
Wow.
So yeah, there's been a lot of changes.
Yeah. Do you think the what was that stuff called? Not the combat gauze, but the other stuff that they stopped using. Quick Clot. Did that kind of fall under that where we thought it was okay and then we're like, no, this shit's terrible. We got to stop using it.
Well, the combat gauze, like that powder is stuff that it reacts to water. So the big problem is like obviously water in your blood and it's meant to cauterize. So it ends up causing more injury, not only to you as the patient, but like me as the medic that's inevitably going to get your blood on me or somebody else that's helping. So, and then you end up with these granules stuck in you that have to be surgically removed and all that type of crap. It just ended up being more of a mess. So the Quick Clot brand though is what ended up like having the rights, and they made the combat gauze. So like, here's this anticoagulant gauze now that we can make, and it doesn't have the drastic, like if that stuff blew up into your eyes, like I think you're going blind. Like it's just gonna cook your dang retinas out or something. So yeah, they did away with, like some people still had it. I remember it getting like when I got my first med bag for real, someone had left that in there at 1-1. I was like, didn't they stop using this in Desert Storm? Like, I don't know why this is still here, but
damn.
Yeah. The anniversary of it, which is pretty cool, to get a call out from the Marine Corps about something so long ago though too. Because I always feel like they do the bigger stuff that may
like singing.
Yeah, singing or I'm thinking like Fallujah, like
Fallujah.
Yeah, big
Solder City.
Yeah. So and I forget that there's still some people of us that are like still lingering around in the Marine Corps that actually, care about that shit. My company commander is now the regimental commander for First Reg.
No shit.
Yeah, he just put on full bird and took over command of First Reg. So that's pretty rad. Yeah.
Well, shout out to the old full bird. Hey, so I was going to tell you this last night, and I just remembered. I was mulling around YouTube the other day and found a documentary from Britain, from the BBC, about the fight for Musa Kala.
Mm-hmm. Back in like 2008? Something, yeah.
Yeah, I have the guy who was in the regiment, in the army. He's a podcast, what do you call somebody you look up to? Anyway, yeah. And so I bought his books. He wrote a book. Because I was like, holy shit, that's where I was in Afghanistan. So I bought his book. But anyway, it was about their time, that unit there when they went in, and they got gobsmacked trying to take Musa Kala. Yeah,
I heard too from the fight early on that was for Nowzad, which a lot of that stuff took like a kind of shadow over it because of all the stuff still going on in Iraq. But yeah, even the U.S. Marines were sitting there trying to work on the greater Nowzad district, and apparently that was a hell of a time. And some stuff didn't even make sense. Like we went up to the PB, Arizona, which is just a knob in the middle of like a valley of the mountain range out there. And they have like a fake recoilless rifle set up, and they're just a couple of Afghan guys chilling there. Like, yeah, we're making a show of force type deal. Anything I can shoot and then run away real fast and go tell somebody, Paul Revere style, that the Taliban is coming,
Was that north of Nowzad?
Yeah. Yeah, you go straight up north.
Yeah, because I went to Nowzad for like one day, And the only thing I remember is just like when you walk out of the cop, because we landed at night, and during the day, it was just that mountain straight up.
Yeah.
And all I could think was, this is like fucking Restrepo from the Army.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the one, too, that their landing zone is outside the wire. So we had to go out to be able to drop casualties off or load up. And I think I have a memory of us like waiting to go and like we're all loaded up. We're leaving Afghanistan. This is it. And I literally just like leaned over to my buddy. I was like, perfect time to get a shot at right now. He's like, don't fucking say that, dude. Like, what the fuck? I'm trying to leave this fucking country. I'm like, nah, man, let it rip. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Did you ever get that that reflection of like when you were leaving and you seen the new guys, and then you thought back to like when you got there and you were like, it did come full circle?
I didn't see the new guys because we were the last of the line, really. So there was there was some 1-7 dudes that came, but they were kind of like in the middle of their deployment too. So they were pushed to different areas to just retrograde. But I don't know who came to Nowzat after that. So it was kind of this like very somber experience too, like flying out of there, like that was the last of it. And it's like, you know, I got Lana Del Rey Summertime Sadness playing in my damn head as we're in it. And I was trying to take like a photo from the helo, and the aircrew guy like just told me to get up and come, and I stood there in the door and took like a video and some pictures like over the northern Helmand mountain ranges and stuff as we were like exfilling out of there in the day. So that was pretty cool, but it was there was no like, hey, good luck. It was like looking at the Afghan guys like, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that had to have been hard too, because it's like, did we really accomplish the mission? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it became clear to me like early on in the deployment that like this isn't about like, you know, the freedom of America and all that type of, like, a lot of us got back from that deployment. We're like, what the fuck was that all about? But then you remember they're like, oh no, I joined the Marine Corps or, you know, the Navy. I volunteered, you know, to be in the infantry. I'm that guy at the protests with the sign that says, I don't believe anything. I'm just here for the violence. That's all we are. So like, you know, let's try to cut it into something that like, we can't cry about it. And in that aspect is like, we know what we were there for. We were there for, you know, be able to beat our chest. Be like, you know, I can do the American History X thing and the fucking PX and point at my combat action ribbon and say, not fucking welcome. That's all that is.
You know, I talked to a guy recently who has a lot of combat deployments and a lot. I mean, a lot. Like between Afghan and Iraq, a lot. And he told me something. He said, you know, it took me years to realize that it wasn't about patriotism. He's like, I was just addicted to the killing.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, because people, people ask like, oh, how was combat? And I'm like, dude, it was a great time.
Yeah.
Like it is until somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
But then when you look back at it and you made it and you didn't get hurt, you know, you're like, you know, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. It was terrifying, but it was fun.
Yeah. The best, worst time of my life. Well, we have this addictive quality that they've done studies on that. Like we share parallels with heroin addicts for like being addicted to the combat adrenaline. And there's things that like cannot, you know, suffice, you know, to like get to that fix. Like I can't ride a motorcycle and get the same, you know, side effects. I can't do a lot of crazy shit that I've done and be like, oh yeah, it's just like that. Yeah. You know, it's a one of a kind feeling. So yeah, that's why guys just spend time going back. I tried going back constantly. I had a moment when I was back at I had left at First Mardiv and I was back at Blue Side, and I fucking hated everything about being at a hospital. And I was like, oh, this was the biggest mistake. I'm going AWOL. I started like, I was being blatant about it too. I had gotten Rosetta Stone for French, and I was like, I'm going to join the French Foreign Legion. I'm going to go die like a man in the Ivory Coast. Fuck you all. Like I was all about this shit. And somebody talked me down, and they're like, yo, you'll come back one day if you survive, and you'll be like a felon and you can't have guns or see your kid and all that shit. I'm like, oh, well, let me put it that way.
Yeah. Now, did you, I mean, you're married now, but When did you have a family? Was it during this deployment or not till after?
So I, like most senior military people now, I'm on my third marriage, right?
Hell yeah.
Finally decided to get wise though, and like actually be a legitimate human adult about it. So,
Yeah.
but I had my oldest boy's 15 years old now, and he was born in 2010 at the old Naval Hospital Camp Pendleton by Lake O'Neill. And,
hell yeah.
and then I deployed literally a month or two later, and then came back and hopped over to 2-5 and was deployed again. So I've basically been, and then obviously that marriage dissolved shortly after that, when I got back from that deployment from Afghan. But
how was that? Because I don't really talk about this on here because, you know, not very often. But like, you know, one of the things that me and my wife luckily have been married since before my Afghan deployment. So, but one of the things that we tell people that ask about it is what it really is you've learned to live by yourself and they've learned to live by themselves. And when you come back, you expect to be the center of attention, or you expect it to be your way. And then you get back and they're like, well, motherfucker, we've been making it just fine without you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that was the thing. I came back and she wasn't there. Like I didn't have anything. So I had we talked about this before I got cut off on the first one, but I didn't even have anyone like, like family or anything there. So my buddy from Corman from Weapons Company was already home. He got home like 3 days prior. So he just came and picked me up, and I walked straight off the bus, walked past everybody and stuff. There's some moms out there with pizza, like, hey, don't you want a slice? I'm like, nope, just fucking went straight over there. Yeah, I didn't have any clothes. I had to borrow I was wearing another man's pants for like 2 days so I could get to a mall, you know, and like get set up on some stuff.
Right, you made me spit this coffee out.
Oh, sorry. Oh, shoot. Just, you know, I was living shameless there
bro, that's
for a
fucking
minute.
Depressing, bro.
Yeah.
But you were with one of the boys, wasn't you?
Yeah, and so that was the good thing is that we're all just being, you know, kind of retarded together, but which was good too. Like one of the things we talked about before is that, you know, I was fortunate in the fact that instead of going like leaving that deployment and then leaving immediately, like I screened to go over to CTM to work with guys like Ray and everything. So I had to do like an interview over there, and then all those guys were coming from, you know, they were the dudes from 2-4, 1-5, 3-5, us. And like all of us were just kind of going through the same things post deployment and doing it together while also having a greater mission of, you know, training the new corpsmen that are going to go out to the infantry units across 1st Marine Division. So we had like purpose and then like camaraderies, like very close, very tight together. So.
Right. Now, when so you left, you went and worked at that hospital in Washington. And then where did you go to get mixed up back in Indonesia? You went out there.
Oh, you're talking about with DPA? Oh, that's much farther on. I didn't go out there until 2020. Yeah.
Shit.
So from Washington, I was only there for a year. And
that's right.
The conflict between one angry Greenside dude and all of them was like, this is not compatible. And I put in a request to like basically curtail my shore duty orders. They signed it, and I got orders to 2nd Mardiv. So I went to Lejeune.
Damn.
I did my time with them at Lejeune, and then I came back. I ended up at SOI West. And from there, that's when I was actually like, I've had enough of all of this Navy still pulling me back, and all I want to do is, you know, be with the boys type deal. So I was going to get out. And then the good Lord sent a pandemic to disrupt that getting out plan. And yeah, I ended up on that ship that went up to Los Angeles, the Mercy, the hospital ship. So I had
what time is it? This is going to be this is going to be a 3-hour episode by the time I put the rest of it together.
Now send it.
So, all right, man. All right. I wanted to ask this question, but for those of you listening, get over it. I got to ask it. I was one of the people that I said, I got enough experimental vaccines in the military, regardless of politics. Let's leave that aside. I was like, fuck no, I ain't getting this damn vaccine. Now, look, I believe in science. My kids have some vaccines, they have some not. I'm
Yeah.
just a middle of the road motherfucking type of guy. But I got out in 2016, and a lot of my buddies that were still in called me, and they were like, "Bro, what do you think?" And I was like, "Bro, because they were giving people the pink slip, right? Like if you didn't get it, you were gone."
Yeah.
Dude, that's such a fucked up decision.
Dude, I'll tell you, I learned this one the hard way. So I'm anti that COVID vaccine at the point of it, because I got it in Hawaii when I had just showed up there because there was not a vaccine yet. And we only got Pfizer that came to the island that I can remember. So I was just like, my thought process was, I've is quite the opposite of yours. I've had all the experimental vaccines. Who gives a shit? I'm in my fucking prime. This, just send it. I just want to stop wearing a mask. I want to be able, like, there were so many different travel restrictions, especially the countries that we were trying to get into. I'm like, I just want everybody to shut up. Give me the fucking vaccine and everyone shut up. Well, that's the problem, is that it didn't. No one shut the fuck up and it just kept going on with it.
That's right.
I got the first dose of Pfizer, and for the first time in my life, had a reaction to a vaccine.
No shit.
I had a lymphatic inflammation up in my armpit, and it was like just all red and swollen, all this type of crap right there next to the site of, I got it, in my left deltoid there. So I had this whole thing going on, and they had a treat for that. And I'm like, do I want to roll the dice on the second one? Yeah, whatever, because now it's a series. You have to get the second one. I get the second one, and I'm just like, okay. I get 2 more vaccines afterwards, typhoid and flu. They gave it to me at the same time, and that thing had now a new inflammation thing that I had to get before going into the Philippines. So that had another reaction. Again, I've never had this shit happening before. Then I'm in the Philippines and randomly have my heart rate just spiked to 170 beats per minute and just went fucking haywire. My blood pressure came out of nowhere to I don't know, it was fucking almost 200 systolic, over 100 diastolic. I was like, what is happening to me right now? And I started getting am I having a fucking heart attack? What is going on? And they took me to an ER in Manila, and they were like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Yeah, obviously your vitals are just doing something weird. Whatever the deal is. They gave me a beta blocker, which basically just slowed my heart rate down and then I was I felt fucked up. I didn't start getting better until probably last year, where I started being on the full mend of that. I had not been well for a hot minute. So yeah, anyone that's I don't know about that, fuck that thing. Because I wasn't the only one. A lot of able-bodied dudes, in a lot better shape than me, and all this stuff, were just having all these different issues. And I don't.
Well, just out of curiosity, did you see any, because the military is a great place to experiment. And we know this. Obviously, we've gotten all kinds of vaccines that the civilians ain't even never heard of.
Yeah.
But, as far as the myocarditis affecting healthy male in their prime, did you guys see any weird heart issues?
Mine was the one heart issue. I know of a couple of others that were same, in their late 20s, early 30s that had that. So this shouldn't be happening. So I know of a handful, and then the statistics speak for themselves too. Right. So I know if I break it down, it's not just an anomaly with me. It's a couple of other dudes that I worked with here in this area, but then also the military statistics of them was high. So I'm like, shit. Was high, yeah. And which is good that they backtracked and said sorry to all those dudes and hey, you can come back in if you want to. But,
man, that would sucked.
Yeah,
shit.
Not ideal, but. During the start of that pandemic, I was at the Intrepid Spirit trying to get through all my TBI stuff, and my neurosurgeon was she was Chinese national and was on a flight back from China when they started doing all the shutdown stuff. To this day, I have not finished my Intrepid Spirit treatment. So that happened, and then they were like, "Hey, you're getting deployed on the Mercy. We don't know where it's going. We don't know what's going to happen. All that type of stuff." So I'm like, "Well, cool." But I was accepted in the LA Fire Academy too. So I had a whole plan. Everything got nixed, canceled. My early out
Oh,
canceled,
yeah.
all this shit. So while I was up there, and then they pulled us off that boat at one point. We got into LA and they put us in hotels. So I had a hotel that was facing Skid Row. So I had
Oh, shit.
and I got quarantined for 2 weeks and I just had a front row seat to Skid Row, literally on fire the entire 2 weeks. It was fucking insanity. But yeah, from there though, they were like, look, here's your options career wise. You can extend and stay under like SOY West had like that's clinic there. So it fell under the parent command of the hospital. So they can move you. And I was all over these different branch clinics around Pendleton for the hospital. So it's just blue side, but spread out. And so that you can either stay and extend your time out and then get out. But that would have left me at like almost 5 years there at a hospital that I was already despising. Or they said you can take orders and go, but it was like needs of the Navy. So I got on the phone with my detailer, and he was like, "Hey man, I can't send you back to division. You cannot go back to the infantry a third time at the same rank. I was an E5." And I was like, "Well, what can I do?" And he's like, "I've got a set of orders here. It's in Hawaii, but there's a thing in here like you have to be screened for it, and some people have to make phone calls, whatever." Long story short is that there was a female that had those orders, and then she showed up. She needed to go to Field Med West, and she showed up and was too fat. And so here we go to BCP Corpsman, and they nixed her orders, and it got stuck there. Cool. And he called me. He's like, "All right, there's this Master Chief that's going to call you." This dude calls me. He's like, "Hey man, it's all SF dudes over here, and we have this very particular job where we have to go in and out of these different countries and do this stuff. Like, I want to make sure that you're the right guy for it because we don't need any bitches around here." And I'm like, first of all,
no bitches.
I'm not a fucking pussy. I don't know what you're insinuating, but yeah, like, and he happened to know a guy that was like a very good friend of mine, senior chief, and he called him, and they had their little fucking homeboy thing. Like, "No, dude, this is one of the old breed that's still lingering around." They're like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be our guy." So they had to write a letter that had to be signed by a 1-star because they had stopped all PCS movements at the time. So I ended up like taking that and getting out there to Hawaii. So that's how I ended to like DPAA, is literally by chance.
What does DPAA stand for?
It's the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency. So it used to be called JPAC in the day, Joint POW MIA Accounting, and it's a civilian agency like any of the other 3-4 letter agencies that we got reorganized into that, but it is it's the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency. So it used to be called JPAC in the day, but it's a civilian agency under the DoD, but we have like a joint system there for all the military guys. So the premise is like we have all of these prisoners of war and missing in action guys that have been as far back as World War II. And they go back as far as World War II because those are the only ones we had like dental records and like you can get DNA samples from. We don't really deal with World War I because that was kind of a hodgepodge of guys that were lost in the system there. So, but yeah, it's a great spot. You kind of work out these missions where it's like, all right, we have these guys that are in Vietnam that we know, hey, these are the areas that we lost them at. So you go do investigation teams, and then there's like recovery teams. The investigation team will usually are a little bit smaller, and they always have, a medic. They've got their anthropologists or archaeologists that go with them. They're like the main leads. And then there's the expeditionary support side. So there you have like an officer and a kind of like the structure of a platoon, like one officer that's the team leader, and then you get, a team sergeant that's just kind of handling everything else. And you go in there, do the investigation site and meet with people and try to figure out kind of like, hey, this is the area where we've got enough proof here to dig at this spot. And then we come back with a recovery team. And in the recovery team, we simply just grid those spots off and dig like one shovel depth at a time in these very high, like extremely restricted and calculated spots, and then sift through all of that dirt. and you find bone fragments and
And
plane, like when I was in Vietnam, we were searching for 2 Marines that were pilots in an A6 shot down in the 70s, and so we were going through a um, like a just a fucking rice paddy and just going through all this mud. So we had to set up sandbags to actually like have one segment of it dried off. You have to pay all these people off, work with the Vietnamese national officials to like keep people at bay. And like you have to hire, folks to help set stuff up and work with you. Um, and then you sit there and dig and dig and dig. And like, man, you'll pull people's teeth out of there, like plane fragments. And we have some guys that are like aircraft, like all knowledge experts. They can pull like a piece of fabric out of the ground. They're like, oh, that went to a parachute that's from, the nomenclature, and can they fire stuff off. It's crazy how smart they are with all that. But yeah, and the Vietnam trip was my last one. We actually recovered enough remains of the 2 pilots that they were finally like brought home, and like it had a burial service and everything. So there's
how many like active duty guys are on these teams at one time?
So we have guys that are organic to the unit, such as myself. So there'll be like a handful of us, and then we usually get augmentees. So those taskers get pushed out to like, the whatever branch of the specialty needs too, like EOD guys. Majority of the Marines that I've had on the teams have been EOD.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we they put them out, for the Navy side, for medics at least, they put out a tasker like, we need a 8404 medic or an IDC to go fill these things. It goes to BUMED, and then Navy BUMED kind of pushes those out, and they pull some guy that's about to kill himself at a fucking hospital, like, get me out of here. And he's like, yeah, all right, I'll go into country and do these. And it's they're all over the place too. We've got them in Europe. I did all 5 of my missions out in like Indo-PACOM. There's some sites too that are like farther down in like Papua New Guinea and stuff. They're like dive missions that they try to go into.
Wow.
Pretty crazy though. My first mission was in Laos, and this is where it gets weird too. You're like, well, wait a minute.
We weren't in Laos.
We weren't in Laos. Why do we have missions to Cambodia and northern Laos and this, that, and the other? Like, yeah, all right. So I actually got like you get like the briefing and stuff too beforehand. So when we got to Laos, we had to quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel, looking over the Mekong River, and just, you're like, oh man, I'm fucking, I'm digging this vibe. But I'm sitting here and like flipping through like files and reading this whole thing and getting the whole history of essentially like how this guy was shot down. He was conducting missions like bomb runs for Mac VSOG and stuff, got shot down over Laos, was held as a prisoner of war. United States government said, hey, probably KIA told his family all this, but a Russian reporter was in Laos at the time and interviewed him, and the photos surfaced and went out. So then the family knew, and then the government was like, well, we didn't actually get a see, but we assumed. So there's this whole thing that went on forever. And it just makes you lose your mind and get more and more furious with like government doctrine and stuff. But
does any of the documents you guys, I mean, I don't want to get nobody in trouble, but I mean, were any of the stuff still sensitive or classified that you were reading to kind of find where you were going to dig or look at?
No, like at this point, the guys that we're looking for is like, it's just, yeah, hey, this guy, they went and acknowledged, yeah, we gotta go there, do this stuff, and it's been that way for a minute. There are things though that are out there they have to like keep at bay. There was a mission that a guy went on right behind me that they took a Mac VSOG guy with him. He's like, that was my buddy you're looking for. I know exactly where he is. I buried him myself out there in the fucking jungle. And he had a handler from Langley go with him out there. And granted, the jungle grows a lot faster than you think. So the terrain of where, like, I think he ended up getting sick or something, and they flew him back in the United States. But they did go with that. And then there's some stuff from like battle strategy stuff from World War II that they don't let out into the general public, and they just kind of leave that. Which I was like, all right, that's interesting. Yeah. So,
did you? Just a quick aside. Mm-hmm. Have you read or heard any of the interviews with McVsog? Man, those dudes were fucking unbelievable, man.
So not great for my combat brain. I listened to all of those books on audiobook while sitting there and working out there. So I was like immersed in it
Oh, that's
while
awesome.
listening to it. And I had to, dude, there was a couple of times I had to like take headphones out and be like, I'm going to lose my fucking mind right now. Cause Laos is one of those places and the people are fucking awesome, dude. They're like the Vietnamese too. They don't have any like real ill will, and our EOD techs are busy out there because of the amount of submunition ordnance. Like you just get these little tennis ball sized things all the fucking time. They took us to a lot of different tours too. There's a dip, like a saddle in the mountains where there's all these cave systems. They'll take you on tours through the caves that the whole Laotian, Communist Party had hid out in for like the better part of two decades, as all this bombing was going on. But there's a saddle that wasn't originally there. They bombed trying to get to those guys for a decade straight. They're like, the average was a bomb dropped every 8 minutes for 10 years straight. And it literally, the mountain used to be completely parallel, and then that one spot is literally, they bombed a mountain away, but it took the better part of 10 years to get it bombed out. Still didn't reach the caves that they were in. So this pilot too that we were looking for was held as a POW, I guess, and was held in those caves. And they said like, oh yeah, he got sick one day or whatever. I'm like, yeah, he got fucking sick, all right, is what happened. Yeah. And but I'm looking around, and the landscape of it's like looking in a scene in Avatar, like some of those pill mountains that are just, what is this? There's like one random nipple here, and like we're way up here, thick jungle. It would take forever to get through. We're 7 miles from the North Vietnamese border. China is not much farther to the north, and then it would take forever if you were walking in a straight line to even get to northern Thailand. So I'm looking around and it's like, oh, you're never getting out of here. So I had to put myself in that guy's shoes. Be like, oh yeah, you're fucked. You're never getting out of this place.
Another thing is like, it's something that interesting concept is like, with your job is getting people out. Especially the MACV-SOG guys, when you read about that, it's like, okay, in Afghan, Black Hawk lands, we sling casualty on Black Hawk takes off, right? Yeah. These dudes are having to go down into the canopy in the helicopter, chop trees on their way down, and then extend a basket. Homeboy goes down, grabs your casualty. I mean, it's just,
most before, like the mindset of that I've seen or heard from on these audiobooks is that they had no intentions of coming back. There was no getting out plan. So they're just like, fucking, if I get out, cool. At least there's beer in the team room or something. Like, that's about it. But yeah, it's gnarly. So, and like, ironically, the pilot that's doing gun run supporting for them, and that is the one that gets shot down and held as a POW. I guess he was a POW too for like 10 years, something like that. And then, died something after the Paris Accord Treaty and everything like that. So when we turned over a bunch of these POWs, we only took a certain amount of them, and a lot of them were still left out in the nether regions of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. So, and then some that were just, flat KIA, we just weren't able to recover them. And that's the point of like getting out there and trying to. So, but Laos is one of those places, man, where it's like we're so far off too. Like, this is the apocalypse now in me. Like, we all got native out there, man. And those guys loved it because these are all the Hmong tribe dudes. They're living a whole nother lifestyle out there, and it's fucking phenomenal. And they just want to have you be a part of it. Motherfuckers, like my team sergeant was eating bat that they had barbecued and shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just, I was like, dude, there's a pandemic because of a fucking bat allegedly at the time. Like, maybe chill out with the fucking bat. But yeah, dude, a lot of heavy drinking too. There's like, I got a photo of me and as a Navy EOD tech, and we have like these bamboo straws. They have this clay pot that they have. It's like fermented rice type deal that makes a rice wine potency, but you're supposed to add to it. So they would dump beer or water into it, and then you're just sitting there like having to hit this straw like in the back of a truck that was made for slaughtering pigs that was used to like transport us back and forth from this place. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Dude, it was a wild time. And they had these like shops that you can go to, little open air markets, and people were like bartering for elephant's teeth. There's like tiger claws there, and all the shit's like illegal, by any means to get through, and customs and shit. But dude, I brought back, all sorts of neat little trinkets and shit from there. It was like, you can't get this anywhere else. I found a bayonet from a Belgian rifle from like 1948. At an open air market in Vientiane. I was like, that's coming home with me for sure. So yeah, it's a good time.
I wonder how much like at those, like you're talking about those places that are so hard to reach. I wonder how many gyms that
There's
somebody's
so
got just sitting
so
around.
Many.
Dude.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous. Yeah, my buddy kept texting me the whole time. He's like, bring down a chopped RPD home. You have to bring back weapons. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know how I would fucking
prison you want to
exactly
be in, dude.
Yeah. No, smuggling them into the United States is probably the easier part than smuggling them out of a fucking very isolated communist country. So
you don't want to end up like what's the Britney chick in Russia that had like weed basketball player.
She had a gram of weed in her ass or something like that, and she did some time. Yeah, no one's coming after me. I'm just some fucking white boy. No one wants to come save me.
Did you go to any of the Pacific Islands or just stay up by Vietnam?
No, I did the Philippines 3 times. Okay. A lot of those were remains that were already we knew they were there, so we were disinterring them, but they were labeled as unknown. So we pulled them out, and they were put into caskets and wrapped with like those, the wool blankets you get in boot camp. Yeah. It's the same company that had been making them forever. And they're wrapped up in there. So we would like pull them out, use machinery, pull them into these spots, and then use a Sawzall. And then same thing, you have to screen to make sure we're getting the most amount of the remains. But you're cracking open to a skeleton from 80 years ago.
That's what I was going to say, bro. Like, is this like the movies where you just pull it back and there's a motherfucking skeleton?
It's the Goonies. Yeah. And some of them have like filled up with mud and like decomposed. So you're just like, this is a little bit more delicate. But as a corpsman too, I thought that I knew anatomy like well enough, but once we started pulling all these things apart and like setting them out into the trays and all this, like obviously here's a skull and there's this and that bones, but the anthropologist can pull like a piece off and be like, oh damn, that's the iliac crest to his pelvis, or like I'd have no way of knowing that, but I learned a lot from that. And you could see clear defined injuries. Like I've seen femurs with fucking bullet holes straight through.
Wow.
Skulls with bullet holes straight through. And there was a couple of them, like a full intact pelvises, and we're looking at it, and I've had this happen twice. I've probably pulled out between the 3 missions, maybe 200 dudes that were unknowns, and we processed all of them as we dug them out. But there was 2 out of them that they had pulled out and were looking at the pelvis, and the anthropologist looking at the way it has like, there's some better way of, I can describe it as like squiggling, but there's some, movement that's on the pelvis that shows to them that it's an underdeveloped male pelvis. So they said this person was probably 15 or 16 years old.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting here holding this kid's hips. And obviously, World War II, like everyone lying about their age to get in there. It feels like you're holding the weight of the sun all of a sudden. Like, man, I have a child that died in the Pacific here in my hands. I'm very delicately taking care of that. The object, though, too, is to get those bones back. They're all very well like maintained, regulated. Get DNA samples, cross match them with families so they can confirm that that's who that is. But there are some caskets where there wasn't enough of some people that there is mixed remains that are put in there. So it's a whole process to get them back to the lab that we had in Hawaii so they can go through those. But yeah, there was a lot of like crazy stuff. And I was telling you this before we got cut off on the first one, is that they have all those unknown dog tags that were on them. But because they're not organic material, they were not considered evidence. So they were just throwing them out. I'm like, well, there's dog tags with numbers to remains, and they've been down here for 80 years. Like, can I keep these? Like, yeah, sure. And some of them I pulled up said second Mardiv Saipan on them, unknown. So I'm like, fuck yeah. So there ended up being a lot of like little like battle site relics that I ended up keeping. So, and when the other guys in the medic group went on different trips, they would bring back stuff as well. So I've got sand from Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, I've got like from 3 different like main hotspots in Guadalcanal. Um, when I was in Vietnam, I went to Quezon and I took a Mountain House meal bucket and we went to the battle site at Quezon, and there's a farm right across the street. And I asked the lieutenant colonel, that's the Vietnamese guy, and I'm like, hey, can I take some dirt back for whatever? He's like, American, take whatever you want. So he let me just fill up an entire bucket from Quezon. I have these little etched, Eagle, Globe, and Anchor things so that say Quezon on them. So, usually my homeboys that are like third Mardiv dudes, I'll give them some of those. But yeah, I pulled a lot of like neat stuff out of that tour. And that was like that and serving in combat with Marines as like, those are the 2, like, these are the fulfilling jobs that I had as a corpsman in my entire career. So yeah, man.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so jealous you got to go to Iwo Jima.
I didn't go to Iwo Jima. I had somebody else go there. So Vietnam, Laos, and the Philippines 3 times for my missions there. But yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I want to go. Like, there's so few people they let go there. I mean, I was under the impression, I don't know if it's true, that only Marines and Navy can go there. And
I think so. The only ones that I've known that have gone is either for our missions. Tara was the other one that I have. That's a hard country to get into. It's called Kiribati now, but the MEU usually stops in there if you're at the right time, right place, they'll pop in there and you can go to the beach, and that's where you can get those. We have this cool little pastime with the FMF pins now. It's like when we wear them, we pin them in on our Marpats, but in the back of them, the globe is like hollowed out. So we'll take sand from Iwo Jima or something like that and mix it with like a little bit of epoxy and then press it into the back of the globes and then wear those. And like that's so like having a salty old FMF pin is cool, but like now I've got like a battle site one, like, oh yeah, this is my Quezon pin, or this is my Tarawa pin, this is my Guadalcanal pin. Like I've made like one for each. It's pretty neat. So the Guadalcanal ones meet a lot. Yeah.
Y'all got fucking cool traditions, and the grunts are just like over there slapping each other and coloring our fucking rank with Sharpies to keep it black.
We're doing that too, but we got that big shield to scribble in, and it just looks like a big purple beam on our collar from afar.
Retarded, dude.
Go buy a new one. Yeah.
Oh my God. Somebody asked me that the other day. They said, if you scratch those things, what do you do? I was like, you Sharpie that bitch and you hope to God nobody sees it in the right light.
You know what's funny is that the people that sell them have the audacity to write scratch resistant on the fucking tag.
You fucking...
Yeah, I'm calling in a bomb threat of that fucking company. You're a liar.
I don't remember what company that is, but they sell all kinds of shit.
Yeah. God, bullshit is what they sell.
Yeah. So you got married. You said you've had 3 relationships. What the second marriage? What happened to it?
No, that was a sham. Very nice lady, but we did one of those things where we're both military. So we're like, I picked her up in Washington, and then I was like, well, I'm going to Lejeune. The only way you can get co-located is to get married and stuff. And then, that just immediately fucking failed to launch. But
so when the third one was that after you did all that stuff with Hawaii?
No, when I was at SOI West. So I'm back out here when I was out in California, we linked back up. I knew her from when I was actually in like middle school. It's like my dad was active duty and we were up in Washington. I knew her. So she decided to look me up one day, and now she's about to have my 3rd child. So joke's on you, girl.
Yeah. I know how that is. My wife's got extra stabby right now when it comes to food.
No,
being pregnant. She's like, because that's how I knew. Which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I think I publicly announced it. But anyways, like, that was the thing. Like, I knew she was pregnant because she was like, I'm super hungry. And I was like, called it like a week before she found out. I was like, I'm good. But
what happens when you talk shit, though, about it? You're like, you shouldn't eat, though. Say one of those things.
Yeah.
What's the response? Dude. That's how you know she's worth keeping.
See, me and my wife are like real people. Because like we talk mad shit to each other. Like this house is a burn fest, bro. Walk through the store and not be prepared to get made fun of. It's gonna be a bad day.
Yeah,
like
I love that.
But so we talk mad shit. Because the other day I was like, she ate like a second helping of dinner. I was like,
Mm,
what are you doing?
yeah, that's not necessary. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's when you
Bro,
know she's a real keeper. But
she pulled a fork out of the drawer and turned around, and I was like, I'll hit him out.
I got a new shiv over here. My wife
Yeah.
likes to fucking burn on me too. We just constantly talk shit, especially like even with Afghan related shit. She says that I have pretend traumatic stress disorder, and I almost fell out of my fucking chair, dude. Oh man,
That's awesome. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's one of the things that I tell people. I'm like, dude, if your significant other isn't like if you don't consider them like your best friend and you can like talk
yeah.
shit like best friends do to each other, that's one of the secrets that I found out to make it work. Yeah, how long y'all been together now?
We got married in 2020, like right before we
Yeah,
left to
so
Hawaii.
yeah,
Yeah.
6 years. When did you ever felt like you were like, okay, I get the PTSD thing? Because you go in 2000 and what was that, 12,
12.
13?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like it went, how long did that take? Or was it kind of like it just kind of showed up out of the blue?
I think that it's a long onset, for me in particular. I hated to even acknowledge that type of stuff because I'm like, that's
Yeah.
gay. What are we even talking about here? And there was like the breakdown of it because when I was up in Washington, that was what they were trying to do. Like they didn't want me to be their problem, so like you have to go. And I was talking to this, um, it's like social worker, counselor, or something like that. They made me go to, and I'm young. All I want to do is go back to hooking and jabbing with the boys. So I'm like half-heartedly listening to this guy, and he broke it down of like PTSD is like not this, one size fits all for everybody. He was like, there's so many different levels to the, fifth or sixth power too. And he's like, I saw it as you get really stressed out with the fact of like looking back at like, I'll never be that cool again type deal. And then
Hmm.
also it's the fact of like, I'm just not with the guys anymore. Like I have no purpose. And that's where that one was. And, and I think people are so easy to like kind of write you off as that. But I definitely, I think that it was like noticeable for me, like when I left there too. That's when I was like, now I'm an adult and I've been all over the place and done these things and like I can drink now, all that type of shit. And like I've been drinking with the Marines too, so I'll drink any of these fucking faggots. Like I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want type deal. Now looking back at it, I was like, there's a definite error in my judgment, but that was all kind of deriving from that because it was just derailing of being like, you know, sad that my identity was taken from me for the most part type deal. And then like what we were talking about from the first episode, like I didn't think at an early part in that deployment, like I'm not coming back from this. So the fact that I did, and then you kind of get that survivor's guilt a little bit of like, yeah, but guys didn't too,
Hmm.
it's like so what is my purpose? In my brain, I was like, my only purpose is just to go. Like, let me be Lieutenant Dan, and follow the family tradition here. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that you go through that. I think I went through this psychosis rigmarole for like a good 10 years, and finally I had to
Oh,
find new channel direction and grow the fuck up. And
yeah.
like I flat out quit drinking like 2.5 years ago now. Like that
That's
was
what I was
big.
gonna ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Do you think drinking played a big part in that?
Oh my God, you're just throwing fucking gasoline on a damn fire is what it was. But
Yeah.
yeah, and eventually like, people start kind of growing up and out of it and away from it too.
Hmm.
And then it was one of those things like, hey, it's fun when you're in the barracks and it's fun when you're with your boys and you hitting the bars. And then even that became too much of a thing. We're like, we can't even have get-togethers anymore because then everybody wants to fight everyone in the middle of downtown Phoenix and shit, and guns are getting pulled in people's faces. Like this is getting out of control. Then we reduce it to like we're just going to hang out in people's garages and keep it just us. Then it turns into like, well, everyone still moves on and goes away, and then it's like now you're just drinking by yourself and you're just a sad sack piece of shit. And then your family's like going
Yep.
on without you, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? You're like, yeah, I've had enough of this stuff, and I just walked away from it one day, and that was it. Best decision by far. But yeah, that was one of those like you had to let it
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I was gonna, if you didn't get to it, I was gonna get to it. Is when you are by yourself drinking, that's when you are like, okay, you're
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah, like how
this is
many nights
depressing.
can you just get away with sitting there watching Apocalypse Now or Saving Private Ryan or some shit like that? And then it's like, I drank fucking 18 beers last night. Look at dad, real fucking champion, you know?
And then also like you just realize you're just living in the past,
Yeah.
and but and it's like I tell guys, there's a fine line about being proud of what you did, talk about what you did, but you've got a family, or even if you don't have a family, you have the rest of your life ahead of you.
Yeah.
And
That's the whole thing about manhood too, is like you need to know that there's an evolution about you. In the military servicing, most guys do like 4 years. Even with me, I'm going to end up doing 20. Like it's still going to be a very small portion of my life. So I've wrote off the whole thing. Like I think I've already gone through my exiting the military thing. Like I've gone through that phase, everything, because I'm so now old. Like there aren't very many GWAT dudes left around, that I'm already a loner. I've gone through the whole thing. I'm just kind of in analog mode, just getting through the time. Because I have like now higher aspirations and things that I want to go do. And the things that I've been able to accomplish, I've done some like, different schools and whatever, college and everything that I've done around here training wise. Like I would have not been able to accomplish any of that had I not had my like full wits and mind about me. Cause probably within that first year of like stopping drinking entirely, like there were things that came back to me I didn't know that were gone, just like visual acuity and just dexterity and being able, like just simple body functions were coming back to me that I didn't know that were like out, out of my purview. So that was like great. And I'm like, my eyes were really like opening up to the significance here. So
what do you think? What do you think flipped the switch? Just do you think it was just time, wisdom?
well, there was a little bit of that, but I had one instant in when I'd flown out to visit some dudes and shit got fucking haywire. And then I was just like, I flew back and I was like, no more.
Okay.
I'm fucking done. So,
Yeah.
and then that was it. And I'm fortunate to where I could do like the cold turkey thing and just be done with it. Never touched any of it since. So some guys, I tell my fucking best friend, and I know he's listening too, I'm like, you stop drinking, you're dead in a 48-hour period. No chance. So we're going to have to fucking wean you off a little bit, but if you so choose.
If there's any advice I'll give guys on that, because I don't think I ever had like a 18, 12 beer a night problem. What it was me, and I still have this to this day. It took me a long time. It took me growing up to realize this, is I had a consumption problem. So it was, if there were 6 beers in the fridge, I would drink all 6. If I buy a 12 pack, I'll drink as many until I fall asleep. So that's 8 or 9 or whatever. And then what I started doing, and I recommend this to anybody who just doesn't want to quit cold turkey, like, because Josh is apparently a superhuman or whatever.
Superhuman, yeah.
But like I started taking 3 months off a year. So from Labor Day, and don't get me if this isn't exactly 3 months, but right around Labor Day all the way to Christmas. And so I had a Christmas party every year, and then I would start drinking right around that Christmas party, and it always fucked me up because I would have like 2 glasses of bourbon and be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But it was great because what it taught me was just resistance because for those 3 months, I cannot tell you the very first year, the first 3 months, it was like I wasn't even 15 days in and there was some kind of big party. And I have never been asked if I wanted to drink at a party. Like no one's ever been like, hey, you want a beer? Like not at this particular family, this event, these people. But I went to this party and I was like, it's going to be easy. They've never drank there. Bro, I got asked if I wanted to drink like 40 times in like 3 hours. And I was like, oh, this is so fucking hard. But once you do it, I mean, you can attest to it now that you've quit. It's easy.
Yeah.
Once you get used to it.
No
But
one ever pushes the agenda too, even if it's like strangers. Like, you want a beer or something? I'm like, no, I'm gay now. I don't do that anymore. They're like, oh,
yeah.
okay. But they could probably tell too. It's like, yeah, maybe he's just been around the block and all that. But
hmm
yeah, and
hmm
like that's cool if you can do the 3 month thing and stuff. Is
Yeah.
like it, but as long as you have the ability to do, like, I can come back to it within moderation and stuff too. I do not, because I'll hammer those damn 20 beers. I'll be naked in the fucking yard trying to fist fight the neighbor's Great Pyrenees or something. Like it's
Oh
just
yeah.
not a good time. So
Um,
yeah. Yeah, that's good though. But the other side of that, like, especially with drinking and PTSD, especially like my Marine buddies, my Army buddies that I have out here, and I've seen them, like, now they go the other route. Like, I have to get sober in this aspect, but then they go to the VA or whatever, and they get put on fucking, like, just psychotropic meds. And I've seen them just, it's like they have no animation in their fucking face anymore. And I'm like, I get deeply concerned. Like, what is going on? And I've never been one. I don't take meds for shit. I don't even take Tylenol. So I'm like hypocritical corpsman. Like, don't take that crap. It's fucking bad for you. But yeah, I don't get into any of that. And then people have been in therapy for years and all that type of shit. I've only seen one thing ever, like, take a man that's been in combat and genuinely change him through his soul. And I mean this because I'm a part of it now, is when they really tap into their faith. Like, when you come into the Christian faith, like, I've never felt so much better in a release of stress and everything. Like, I'm aspiring to Catholicism. So I go to mass every Sunday. My wife's a Catholic, and I finally feel like I can, like, center there and, like, get back to being like a normal human. And then all of the calling to, like, what you need to be as a father and even as a son. I still have parents that I need to honor and all this. Like, I finally got my sense of purpose back through that, and it's been life-changing. And I've only seen it for myself and, like, other guys that have done the exact same thing, and everybody else that has decided, it's going to still rely on the VA or anything else like that. I'm like, hey, whenever you're ready. I don't push it, like, but dude, Jesus is definitely your answer.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I think that is a very, very good thing.
Yeah.
I grew up in church, so I know I
Sure.
get it. I got a problem with organized religion right now.
Yeah. Oh, I was right there with you.
I grew up Pentecostal, but I'm actually thinking about trying an Orthodox
sure
church.
Yeah.
It's on my list, and so, I mean, did you ever do, like, Baptist? Yeah, I know you're
growing up in like the South. Yeah. There was, like, non-denominational stuff, but anything in Tennessee is like is Southern Baptist and Church of Christ stuff. Which growing up, so anything that was like a Protestant level thing, I'm like, this is just hypocritical shit. Like, whatever. And you're not, like, devoted to it. You're not, just kids going along. You go to church camps, go to these Bible study things, whatever, and it just became that thing. So we all, and I've had this talk with so many guys, like, we've all had this misrepresentation of what Christianity is in the West in particular, and we grew up with it. It was just a facade, and it was actually my interest in Eastern Orthodoxy that piqued me to go back. And part of that was, like, when I was with 1-8, like, we were in Bulgaria and I'm in Romania, and I'm going to all these old school, like, Eastern Orthodox churches. When I was out in the Philippines, I went into a cathedral in Manila too. And I'm like, this thing survived World War II, and all sorts of other crazy shit that's gone on here. And, like, it's quiet, it's humble, like, there's a presence there. I'm like, that's where I started feeling where this is, like, the true thing. And then I started going into early church history, and then that's where I was like, yeah, this is where it is. And I started, like, finding that a lot of things, especially with the organized religion stuff, Catholic Church, even the Orthodox, I had a lot of misconceptions that are delivered to us, like, on a grand plate or something like that. It wasn't the truth. So then I started finding out for myself, and now it's become like, oh, okay, now this is where it's at. But I get people, like, still being on the fence about it, and just, if it's something that draws you in a little bit, definitely go try. Just try to learn. If you pick 1 or 2 things away from it or something, go talk to an Orthodox monk, man. They can school you on so much important stuff. It's just it's life changing for sure.
Yeah. Well, shout out Marco. I went on a Wounded Warrior trip recently. One of the guys from shit, what unit was he in? I know he was in seventh. I don't want to say anything. Anyway, he I went on that trip to Kentucky, and he's Catholic, and so we had like a 2-hour ride, and like we broke it down, boy, between like the Protestants and the Catholics. Because I agree with you. Like growing up, the Protestants are told so many things about the Orthodox and the Catholics, and you're just like, And so I started rattling them off, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to offend you. I'm just going to tell you what they told me. And then like he was like, no, and then we went into it, and I've done some further research, and Marco didn't lie, and so me and my wife have even kind of talked about it. And I say, you know what, I think we might do it. But I do want to jump back real quick to something you said about SSRIs. Yeah, man, like for me, my point is like, and I kind of want to tie this into a question I want to ask you. I was vehemently against them, but I have really good friends. One of my best friends, who was injured in Afghanistan, he's like, when you get the dose right, when you live your life and you go and you enjoy things and you do your normal life, and he's like, they just kind of level you out.
Sure.
But and even though I was still like hesitant, I'm like, you know what, dude, I've spent weeks with you now. I get it. Like, he's fine. He's normal. He's how I remember him. But if what you're talking about, where you're like, I kind of don't even recognize how this guy's acting. Yeah, that might be of serious concern, you know?
I think they have to get it timed perfectly. You have to be in a good state, and then they have to regulate you on that. And I still think that longevity-wise, that's a short-term solution. And like, you got to ask yourself too, in any sort of like medication, like, do you want to be on it for life?
Forever.
Yeah. Like it's like the Ozempic thing too. Like, you're going to be on that for the rest of your fucking life. You take that shit off. Like, I just don't see that being like conducive to like living a truly like, you know, healthy life. I'm glad it works for some guy, because I know people are like having real hard times. So if there's a way though, but I think that as long as it's in the back of your mind that the goal is to get to like being free and clear and being able to live happy, healthy, and you know, mentally well off. Like, yeah, absolutely. Versus like, I'm just going to be on this forever. Like, it's, you know.
Now, and this might be too personal of a question, but do you tell your wife everything?
Oh, of course not. No, anyone that says that they do is like not there. Here's the thing: there's like, as much as I try to have that, you know, hey, we're best friends and we're living this life together and everything, there's still certain things that even if you took out the combat element, like, you as a man, as a husband and stuff, have certain things that like you just have to like get up and move on and you know, pick up, bear that cross, go do it. Like, obviously, like, I'm not going to sit here and try to like burden you with too much. Obviously, some sort of meat in the middle, but like, I can't understand what it's like to deliver a baby. So like, I can sit here and try to like sympathize with you and stuff, but like, I have different outlets as well for that type of shit. So
you just seem very, you seem like me, and you seem like we have the same opinion on it. Is treat it. You can't drag this thing out 15, 20 years. You can't let it consume your life for the rest of your life. At some point, it's big boy rules now. It's time to move on, you know? And that's a hard thing to tell somebody, especially somebody who's in the midst of it. But at this point, it's like, okay, and I'll break this down by two ways. If someone is actively trying, I'm okay with that. But if somebody is, every time they come to you and they're like, oh, I need this advice for how to get better, and you give them that advice and they don't follow the advice, it's like, okay, dude, well, what the fuck do you want me to do?
Yeah. Some people have a martyrdom type of complex to it. Like, they need to, now I'm in this victimhood, you know, stage that I don't often talk to veterans, actually, like, and guys in the military anymore, other than like the few dudes that I know from from our era, like a couple of guys. Yeah, most someone was like, "Hey, I'm with so and so." Like, God bless you. I don't go to VFWs.
Yeah,
I think I've been asked to leave a couple of them, but like I don't hang out with vets. I don't sit here and like reminisce over the good old days and whatever. Like I got more important shit on my plate. And yeah, like it's a department. Like you would actually come into my house right now, you wouldn't know I was in the military. There's nothing that's up and around here. I've got everything. I just toss into a closet and it's hung out in the bottom there. And if my kids want to go through it one day, like, oh, cool, Dad was he was talking all that shit, but he was cool for like fucking 45 minutes one day. And I'm like, all right, sweet. So yeah, I don't try to let it. I don't try to like have it be brought up in every conversation. You know what I mean? Because then you're just like, okay, then no one wants to be around you. And you're a bummer. And it's like, oh my God, you're living in the past, dude.
Yeah, I know guys that, bro, you probably already know dudes like this, but like for me, it's like, I feel like every time I talk to certain veterans, not all veterans, but a lot of veterans, they'll be like, what's your disability percentage? And I'm like, bro, is that like the first thing we have in common? And it's like, that's...
Yeah. What a fucking fun way to start a conversation, too. Yeah. I didn't know that was the thing.
Oh, yeah. Just wait, dude. You just fucking wait, homie.
God. Oh, I'm going to be 100%. I know that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And actually, and I think I might have mentioned this in the first episode, is that, I've had guys hit me up and wrote statements for, hey, were you here during this? And one of those guys was a corpsman. And he's like, my problem is because I was treating everyone else.
Yeah.
He was like, you do a lot of self-treatment. And then he was like, a lot of that shit doesn't get fucking logged.
I have not done a single thing for myself at all. So like, when like guys get blown up and shit, we come by and start taking notes on like, and trying to see where you're, but everyone's retarded already. So like, why am I asking you to remember 5 words? Like, you're not going to remember them at all, like before a blast or after. But, yeah, like we would do all those things, but we would never do it. Like we were there in the same fucking vehicle or within vicinity of or whatever. And we just never do it for anybody else. It's a big problem with corpsmen, but I've had the guys reach out before. So like one of my dudes, we got his Purple Heart. It just came in like end of last year, which he's earned it rightfully, but it was the statement, mine in particular, as the corpsman that treated him. Because when we got ambushed, he was our point man, and they shot his fucking receiver of his M16, and it fucking fragged out into his face.
No shit.
Not a life threatening injury and stuff, but he was weaponless for a fucking moment, had a sweet paperweight. In a like gnarly gunfight, and was bled to the point where like I was picking out pieces of shrapnel out of his face for the next 3 days. I'd find like new spots that they were like starting to poke out and shit. So for all intents and purpose, yeah, you were wounded by enemy actions. I wrote that statement, got it notarized, signed it, a couple of other people, and then the state of Texas, I think, is where, that was like pushing that whole thing, and they sent him one in the mail, like, cool, prove. But he sent me a picture of it. It looked like it had been sitting in a fucking antique shop. It was just an old worn out Purple Heart. It was this dusty fuck. No,
it's because they expected so many casualties in World War II when we thought we were going to have to invade Japan. They made a fuck ton of them, and they still have them. So when you receive a Purple Heart today, you're actually receiving ones from a warehouse that were meant for World War II.
So you're telling me I got to text him right now and be like, you ungrateful fuck, that was meant for Johnny's mom back in 45, you gay bitch. Yeah. Okay.
Well, hey, look, that's what I've been told. Somebody can grok that shit.
Yeah.
But that's what I got told, man.
That would make a lot more sense though. So
yeah,
at least he got it just for the benefits for his kids, especially in the state of Texas. Like that's going to be huge. So
yeah, and
the Purple Heart is the one caveat to, it's the exception to the policy that I have. I'm like, these awards do nothing for you. I get real Smedley Butler about it. I'm going to make a 5-cent piece of cloth so that you can be a fucking gangster for some dildos on Wall Street. Like that's all that is. Like no one gives a shit. Like what am I going to do? Like when I get out and be like, I have a NAM V, will someone fucking hire me? And they're like, all right, well, there's a spatula, burgers are on the left. There you go, fucking hero boy, and like get to cooking.
Do you get looks though? Because I know you got a salad, bro. I know you do.
Well, one, I don't wear a uniform often, especially the
Oh,
one with
okay.
ribbons and shit.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like when I go to check back in at fucking Blue Diamond, and this is the one time where I try to be, I, I've not been humble in the past, but now I just don't give a shit. This stuff means nothing to me, but it's one of those things where you can walk up and it's like, daddy's home. I can pie bitches in the face and stuff. Like, don't ever look me in the eyes, you know?
I mean, look, man, like I I love look, Fifth Marines was the shit. Like, you can like I got into an argument with somebody on X the other day, by the way, because there was a French Fortiget, a picture of one, and I was like, oh, I had one in my old unit. One guy was like, well, what unit were you? And I was like,
Oh,
2-4.
here we go. Yeah.
And then they were like two old dudes from the 80s that they were like, you don't fucking rate the Fortiget. And I'm like, bro, 2-4 is assigned to the Fifth Marines, and they're like, no, it isn't. I'm like, it's been since World War II, you dipshit. You were in when it was.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like they give the Forge to like I think it's like 3.5 or someone right now that's like developing into the fucking BLT, so they're like all consolidated. Now they're giving like if you're that extra entity, like you get the Forage because you're under BLT 1525352 No, actually it's 2-4 right now. Yeah. So I saw it the other day. So like and now it became this by proxy thing. Like what's funny is that they have ceremonies now. I don't know if they did that for you guys in the past. So like, like you do a hike or something like that and you get your fucking Forage. So all like the boots to fucking Fifth Marines get like a little thing that they have to do, and they have like get in formation, do a Forage. I have one of the black tip ones that's meant for the alphas that my fucking team leader gave me, and we all put them on the sides of our rucks when we invaded Zemindawar. So I have a Forage that's got time in fucking gunfights. So there will be no fucking, re-intro to my Forage situation when I go back there. But yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You don't get to wear it if you leave.
Yeah.
Like you only rate it while you're there. But of course, I still have mine.
I'm that dildo that has a Forage tattooed on me and 5 seahorses and shit. Like, yeah,
you fucking gay.
Yeah, I know it.
Gay mother.
I know it. I could be in a sandwich between 2 gay dudes and be less gay than what the fucking tattoos that I've got. But yeah,
bro, that's my thing. Is I want more, but I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm so picky because I'm just like, I want it to tell a whole story, like all the way down. So it was a Navy dude that inspired me for the tattoo idea, probably like 20 years ago. He had a tattoo as a corpsman, and like, it was like all the way from like the above the ocean, like stuff attacking each other all the way down to the bottom with the trident and and all that shit at the bottom. It looks super fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, tattoos used to mean stuff, right? And especially when like we got in, the guys that had tattoos, both corpsmen and the Marines, like you had to earn these things, like especially as going out on Muse and everything. Like I ended up getting that fucking dumb nautical star because of the fucking that, and I got the swallow because of the 5,000 nautical miles. But like, and they were like real strict at 1-1 about like, just you don't rate to have this or rate to have that. And it wasn't until after 2.5 that like I started building this, World War One, type of sleeve over here and all that type of shit. And then like I got my chest done in Norway because I did this whole thing with the Norwegian army for cold response, and we were made honorary Vikings. So I got this Viking tattoo. I got a huge dragon on my leg because I was in Vietnam, and like obviously I'm getting a fucking dragon tattoo on me in Vietnam. My back was done in Laos, so it looks like some Muay Thai fucking shit on my back.
Tight.
Yeah. And now there is corpsmen that have been in for 4.5 weeks that have full sleeves of like cartoons. They got SpongeBob tattooed on their neck and shit. And I don't know what the fuck. I don't know. And now I'm just like, I'm not that guy that's like, tattoos are gay. I don't know. I did my fucking part. Stop getting them, people.
Dude, that is true, man. Like used to, like, I would say, like 2008 when I joined, if somebody had full sleeves, they had like seen some shit in Iraq.
Yeah.
Like it was that dude was crazy as fuck.
Yeah. He needs a tattoo waiver every time they pull that dude's record and shit to re-enlist him. Yeah. Which there was a huge exodus right after that deployment of guys, my dudes that were trying to re-enlist that had like out of the Marine Corps rig sleeves and stuff, and they were like getting promoted. One of my good buddies got promoted to staff sergeant, but was denied re-enlistment. So the Marine Corps said, "You're fit to lead a platoon of infantry Marines." He was also the honor grad for like his fucking staff academy or some shit, and but then was denied re-enlistment. You're no longer fit to fucking continue to serve. Like that's like I get it. There are rules. And the Marine Corps gives you very, like, you know, left and right lateral limits are very fucking narrow. So, like, stick within them. But also, like, dudes going in and out of deployments all the time. They're drunk or retarded. Like, we're just doing our own fucking thing out here and trying to set themselves apart. But being an individual is never the right idea, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, part of me is proud of the Marine Corps for never changing. But then it's like there are certain things that you're like, okay, the culture has to shift or you're going to be off-putting to the younger generation.
Well, maybe to a fault. Like they did come back and now guys have sleeves, which is funny is that the same people that were all like, just follow the fucking rules are first sergeants and sergeant majors with full fucking sleeves that are running, company and battalion level, 89, 99 shenanigans. And same thing with officers. So, but also like, all right, cool. We have to appeal to a younger crowd, but like you look at the younger generation, like, do we want every element that they have to bring to the table? Like it, probably not. So we need some conformity. That's just a blanket statement for the military in general, because for far too long did we do this. Like we need to boost up everyone's individualism, and they became too crazy, and luckily they're backtracking on a bunch of that stuff. But the last like 5 years, like, what the fuck is this, man? This is crazy.
Yeah, what's the feel? I think personal opinion, I thought Hegseth was cool at first. Now I think Hegseth is an op, and I think he's gay. I mean, to be honest, like he was cool at first, and I was like, cool, somebody that actually likes the military. But then like it was like, okay, now you're just being a bro, and it's just a dumb look. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. But
I have a lot of opinions about this, but due to me being currently under contract, I'm going to have to withhold them for the next 3 years until I retire. Man, it's definitely didn't go the direction that I thought it did. There's some good up front that I was like, yeah, let's keep that motion going.
Yeah.
And then we circumvented logic for a minute, and I don't know where we're at. And now I'm back to just like, okay, I just need to hold on to this ride until it's done.
Ride it out, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're so close to the end that you're like, you know what? It doesn't.
I'm taking advantage. Like I can't. Like I'm starting my master's program next month. Like, and I'm in a separate college program, like learning about drones through Embry-Riddle. So like I'm fine. I'm just doing my own thing. I've got nothing left to prove to anybody in the military. Like I'm just trying to collect what I can and then take that pension and skip on out of here. So,
see, I feel like I didn't become intelligent about my life, like be able to look back retrospectively until I got out. And I really feel like that did some damage, like, and what I mean by that is like, I could have taken more advantage of more opportunities if I understood what I was really doing. Like I had that awareness. Like now at 35, I'm well aware of what I'm doing, what I'm going, the direction I'm going in the future. And I just feel like, man, for 8 years in the Marine Corps, it was just like full throttle, let's get it. But like, I didn't really feel like I stopped and thought. And it sounds like you, of course, at some point have been like, okay, yes, I know where I'm at and I know where I want to go from here.
But mine was mainly like, what do I have to, figuring out what I want to be when I grow up, because obviously this isn't it, and that's when I finally like settled on a thing with like college and all that. But then it's everywhere that I've kind of wanted to go and like tried to figure stuff out, I've been thrown in a different direction, and then it ends up paying off for me. Like I was actually screening to leave DPAA and go be a SEER school instructor up in Maine, and that thing just blew up. Like they didn't get back. I already had orders to come here because I was told from the cadre or the guys over there, they were like, I need you to go to Bragg. Like, okay. So I just took those orders, and then I was in Vietnam, and the SEER school cadre like, are you ready to screen? I'm like, I already have hard copy orders to another place. You just didn't get back to whatever. Thanks for nothing. But All right. So, but had I gone there, like I wouldn't have been able to accomplish and do the things that I did here. So, and it's once in a lifetime shit that I've done here. So I'm just gonna, I finally gave up and matured in the way where it's like, I'm just gonna let it happen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm exactly where I need to be, or I'm going exactly where I need to go, and that's it. I need to quit trying to fight and swim upstream constantly, because doing it my way is not fucking working out. So my end goal is always just to be retired, take the pension, move on, be with my family all the time, you know, find a new, you know, interesting and fulfilling career. Tired of doing the 9 to 5 and waiting for the clock to run out and dealing with, you know, retarded people 100% of the time. So it's like, how do I just get to there? Obviously, there's going to be some of that still between now and then. So that was my maturing thing. But those phases, like him, where it's like, I wish I'd have done this when I did this. Like once I got smart enough, that moment had already gone. You know what I mean? Like I should have done this, but I can't go back and fix it. So
yeah, I mean, yeah. But don't underestimate how stupid civilians are, because trust me, it's coming.
well,
And you know, I just want you to know that you know, it was described to me before I got out, and I found out real quick. It was very true. Is that we work, even the shittiest turd military guy works circles around civilians.
Oh, of course.
And that's, and when he told me that, I was like, nah. And then sure enough, but luckily, like I work on a farm with very few employees, and one of my employees is really good. The other one, I mean, he's okay, but he's an older guy, and you know, but I'd be like, I work with solid guys, and that's just naturally something I like. But I got two things to finish up here. One is, so I mean, you're almost done with the military. Do you look back fondly on your time?
Oh man, I struggle with this. It's like I said, being an infantry corpsman, and now I'm going to my 7th Marine Corps battalion soon. So like that has always been, you know, a big part of me. Very, you know, I'm proud of that. I wasn't always proud of every aspect of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I look fondly at. The things that I was able to accomplish at DPA, yeah, but like then there's so much in between where I'm like, what the fuck was all of that about? And so I collectively, I have a little bit of a disdain, especially with the Navy, where I don't associate. And, you know, it's hard for me to even, like, my dad, you know, retired Navy, my grandfather's retired Navy, and I'm a part of a totally different Navy, not only like from the generation, but also from like the element of being a corpsman and FMF and stuff. So, I don't often have a very good positive view, because I always look at it too in a kind of a silly way of like, I could have done more. I could have done this, and this. I should have been that guy that, you know, has just 400 stars on a sea service deployment ribbon by now. Like all the shit that the stuff that's gone on that I like, oh man, I should have been there type deal, which is a very stupid way to think. And that's, you know, I've kind of gone beyond that a little bit now, but looking back at what I've done with the time that was there too, I'm like, it's a mixed bag, man.
I totally understand, man. Like, I mean, I was the same way, and a lot of guys are. You know, you look back and they're like, well, I could have did more. And you're like, I mean, there are dudes with 4 and 5 combat deployments that are like,
it never ends. More. Yeah.
But the one thing that I will say is, like, you did the job, and but you tried. You know, it's like, I mean, it's, you know, it's like over half of my deployments were not combat. One, you know, and that, so for guys like me and you that have only done one combat pump, sometimes that hurts, and you're like, fuck, dude, you know. And it's like, yeah, you did way more time than me, but I did 8 total. And it's like, out of 8, you only, you know, you only did 1. And the GWOT guys just have that. We have that, like it was like we wanted them all to be like Afghan, Iraq, maybe a float here and there to go booze it up in Thailand, but past that, let's roll back, you know?
Yeah.
And, but another thing is you said I think you said this in the first episode, that you guys lost some dudes to suicide from, the unit. And is that still something that you see today, or do you think that was something you've seen early on and now it's kind of trended off?
Well, I've had buddies from all units that I've ran into with the suicide thing, but from Echo in particular, we've had 2 guys in the last couple of years that have died that we don't have an answer on their death. So yeah, Brian Utrilla, who was our bomb dog guy, dog handler, phenomenal guy. Love the death out of him. We have not gotten any follow up on. He was found dead in his apartment. We got no follow up. And then Will Lefevers, who was a 3.5 machine gunner, and then came over to us. I flew out to his funeral in Houston, and we didn't. His mom said he didn't do this, just to give us some ease of mind. So that, just to clarify on those for the 2 Echo guys, but we don't know what happened with them. But it's sudden and unfortunate, and I don't, I hate that. And we've even talked about we need to have an Echo reunion of some sort that doesn't revolve around somebody else's death. We should have to be able to get together, which we're actually planning on for April 5th, because I'll be moved back out there, and our boy Alex Martinez, his cross is getting dilapidated up here on First Arns Hill, so I'll be building a new one, and then they're all going to come out, and we're supposed to go hike up there and put up a new one. But as far as suicide stuff, I don't think it's kind of panned off per se. I don't know anyone that it's hard to tell when people are struggling with that too, and they're on the verge. And even though now we're 14 going to 15 years beyond that too, that stuff doesn't go away. So if you're already, and it could take one other thing to just set somebody off. You have a different life event that just the accumulation of stuff's caught up to them. But to that, I also say my dudes know that they can usually hit me up at any point in time. Granted, with the exception I'm deployed or something in a different time zone, but even if I see that I missed call or whatever, I will absolutely call them back just to bullshit. They know me too. I talk a lot of shit, and they'll absolutely get reprimanded. So I think that they're what's fucking Doc gonna say? Because I don't know if I need to be bullied right now, or maybe being bullied is exactly what I need. But even it's not just me, dude. Call someone, even if the guy wasn't with your unit, and just talk those things over. Because I've tried helping guys and other corpsmen from different units, getting to rehab centers and all this type of shit, almost to a fault, where it's it was taken away from my family stuff. You can't fly across the country to go just help this guy out. I'm yeah, but if not me, then who? Was well, there's a level of accountability at some point. You got to help yourself too. So do your reach outs if you really need it and stuff, but also take the help. And even if it's a difficult step, go do that shit so that you can get better, be the better version of yourself for the guys that are still here, the guys that aren't, and your family as well. So that's important.
Yeah, very. And and then there's like you said, there's self accountability. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna reach out, but you've got to make that first step. No one's gonna force you, Yeah. And that's important. Last question: did we lose?
Did we lose?
Yeah.
I mean, what's funny? I got to bring this up from that post from the Marine Corps. We went straight to the comments when they're talking about branding iron, branding iron. Some motherfucker right there in the comments went, "Nice job, still lost the war." And I thought that was the funniest fucking thing. From an aspect of how much money do we dump into that country? How much time, resources, lives, all that stuff. Yeah, we lost big picture or whatever. I didn't lose it. I was just a part of, and like we talked about before, I was there for my own vanity. I just wanted to get into shit. So I won in that aspect. I just wanted to be a fucking warfighter. Cool. I won that. I had no intentions of winning the global war on terrorism or the the Operation Enduring Freedom. There was no chance there was going to be like a
Decisive
G1
battle.
victory medal that was going to fucking get put on everyone. There was no chance of that. So now, you know what? And I think in it the long term of like life, I have bonds with, you know, guys like you and the dudes from my platoon and Echo Company and 2-5 that like we would never have these experiences, you know, or these bonds had it not been for those experiences. So I won in that way. Like, yeah. So yes and no.
Yeah. I'm beginning more and more to be on the side of that, like, war is the ultimate male experience, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know,
there's a primitive part of you that really comes out. And that's what I was talking about the first episode. I was like, there's like you almost develop this schizophrenic alter ego person. And like, he still lives there somewhere. He's got a summer home in Helmand Province, and he's just cowboying it up right now. And if that, you try to keep that at bay, but yeah, it's, it is the ultimate prime male experience that you can have. So
yeah. And I think that's one of the most important things is that you can look back and you can be like, yeah, you know, we won where we were, you know, we did the job and it was successful, and I feel good about what we did our part, you know.
Yeah.
Whether we lost the war as a long game, man, you can't control it. And we got to do something that no one else, you know what I'm saying? I mean, look how the small percentage of people that ever got to participate.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, and the other part is that it's all documented in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different docuseries that people saw what was going on, so they know that there's the sacrifice that's out there. But if you watch one of the have you seen Combat Obscura? Oh, look that one up. That actually portrays the real like infantry experience. That was 1-6, and they were up in Kajaki around the same time, like 11-12. And yeah, but it shows everything. That combat camera dude like recorded everything. There was a whole lawsuit that went on where the Marine Corps didn't want him to fucking show all this stuff because it's like Marines smoking weed on the fucking tops of the fucking Twinkies and shit, and then just chaos ensues. And they show everything, and you're like, yep, this is it. It's not fucking.
I've seen parts of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can get it on Vudu or maybe Amazon or whatever. I highly recommend you watch. It's kind of like, holy shit! All right, there it is. It makes us look like the Vietnam vets that were smoking weed out of that shotgun and stuff. It's that type of shit. And I was like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, we got drug tested
in country. Oh God,
halfway through. Yeah,
not us.
No,
clean and clear and under control, brother. Ready to serve.
Yeah, ready. All right, dude. Well, if you didn't tell them all, screw it. We'll do it again sometime.
No, man. This has been great. Glad we got together a couple times and mixed through technical issues and storms and all sorts of stuff just to be able to at least bullshit and talk about it for a minute.
Hey, but for the record of anybody that made it this far, so I know there's probably going to be some 2-5 guys listening that are new. Yo, hit me up. I'm always looking for guys to come on the podcast. And, you know, so anybody, you know, like Josh, they ain't got no experience, bro. He looks like a bum over there. Y'all don't get to see him, but I do. But, you know, I mean, this isn't like you don't have to have Fox News experience. It's just, you know, and so if any of you guys from 2-5 that are listening, if you had other experiences in other areas, other units and stuff, or this just from a different perspective, that'd be great. But I appreciate you coming on, man. And for the listeners, I'll see you guys next week. Josh, you got any final words?
No, man. That's thanks for having me on. If anyone's interested in being a corpsman, I would usually say to aim higher, but I'll tell you there are some great jobs, but it is a terrible career field. So no, just I'm messing around. But yeah, thanks for everything, and thank you for the opportunity to be a doc still to this day. So love you guys.
Oh yeah. All right, Doc. Thanks.
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad. Baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me, ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious, I'ma go cause something, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up. Live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad.